Please remain standing for a moment of silence. I'd ask that you keep in your thoughts and prayers the brave servicemen and women serving our country, both here and abroad. Thank you. Please be seated. Would the clerk call the roll?
Here.
Here. Here. Here. And I am here. So all five are present. We have a quorum. Just by way of information, welcome. This is the Friday, May 3rd, 2024 meeting of the Babylon Town Board. It's a special board meeting scheduled for one piece of business, which is a public hearing, which I'll read in a moment. But I just wanted to let you know, if you've come in late and you wish to address the board during the public hearing, if you fill out a card on the front table up front, and don't worry about if I'm speaking, you can come up and fill out a card and give it in to our clerk, and we'll call each of you up to the podium to address the board on the application. First, though, we're going to have a presentation from the applicant's representatives so that they can present to the board what they are requesting of the board to consider. I think most of you have attended past planning board meetings where this application has been heard. This is the part of the process that they're asking for a rezone of certain properties connected with the application from residential to, I guess, business E?
G Industry.
G Industry. But they'll explain their application to us. We'll then have each of the speakers come up and speak to us about their questions or concerns, and then we'll give the applicant another opportunity to address anything that came up during the public presentations. We're not going to be taking any action on this application tonight. It's the board's job to take in all the information and then to review that and to make a decision at a future date. So we appreciate you coming tonight to let us know exactly what concerns and questions you have regarding the application. And with that, I'm going to read the application into the record. It's a public hearing on the application of Robert Amendola, rezoning of the parcels of land at Suffolk County Tax Map number 0100-169-3-37, 52, 51, 50, 49, 48, 47, 44, 43, 42, and 34.001, located on the north side of Sunrise Highway, 344 feet west of Bayview Avenue, North Amityville. So that's the application, the public hearing notice as posted. And again, if you're coming in, please fill out a card up front, file with our town clerk, and we'll get to all the speakers after the applicant's representative makes a presentation. So Mr. Emanuel, if you'd like to come forward and just identify yourself for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. My name is Victor Emanuello. My address is 500 Bi-County Boulevard, Suite 204 in Farmingdale, and I am the attorney for the applicant. I had asked at a previous hearing that we amend the name, the caption in the case, to the entity that now owns the properties. It's R.J. Amendola, LLC.
Okay, and we'll ask that the notice be amended to the proper property owner.
Thank you.
Sure.
Also here tonight on behalf of the applicant is Jennifer Amendola, an officer of the applicant, Sean Doherty, who's a senior design engineer at Bowler Engineering. He's had a lot to do with the design of the project. And then Tina Lund of Ergonomics, who's going to offer testimony demonstrating a substantial positive economic impact that this applicant's business has in the town and the surrounding communities. I'd like to offer a brief summary of the application, if I may. My client is proposing to rezone 7 parcels. I know that the notice indicates 10, but my comments will show that there are 3 lots that are not going to be part of this rezoning. application. In effect, those 7 lots we're proposing that are currently zoned E-business and B-residence, we're proposing to have them rezoned to G-industry in order to allow the applicant to legally maintain the use of the site for the display, warehousing, and storage of its fence products. In addition, we're looking for 2 other approvals. One is to legalize the expansion of a storage building near the north end of the parcel, and then secondarily, we're seeking permission to redevelop a non-contiguous lot, which is lot 34.1, to be used for employee parking. It's to the west of the balance of the property. As the record in this matter shows, the path that brings us here tonight's been a long one. I remember attending the first meeting in the supervisor's office at your long rectangular table some time ago. Since that time, there have been several public hearings at the planning department, a few community meetings at a restaurant near the site and at my client's showroom. And the result of all of that input is what we're here to talk about specifically tonight. I see this application as a truly collaborative effort where everyone has tried to balance the needs of the community, the applicant, and the surrounding properties. The original proposal did include a request to rezone all 10 properties that my client owns, but in the give and take that took place here, we determined that there's those 3 lots that I mentioned, 42 to 44, are the lots that are closest to the residents to the north and east. And so the proposal has been amended to have those remain B residence lots. And those lots then will not be used by the applicant for any commercial activity of any kind. So that leaves the remaining 7 contiguous lots, 37 and 47 through 52, on which there already exists a 15-foot double row of evergreens, a buffer that will be maintained by the applicant along the site's entire northerly border with Bayview Avenue, and then also to the east where it abuts some of those residential uses. Further, the setbacks of the outside storage areas have been increased to 27 feet along the northerly border of Bayview Avenue, and then 37 feet in any place where the site directly abuts a residential use. And then finally, a 2-foot wide concrete block barrier has been proposed and will be maintained by the applicant on its side of the buffer zone so that we can prevent any encroachment into those buffer zones. Those measures result in a substantial reduction of the usable property at the site from over 100,000 square feet to under 80,000 square feet. Again, taking into account those areas that most impact the residents to the north and to the east. If any of the members of the board have any questions about the proposed, how this rezoning fits in with the character of the community as it exists now, I'd ask that you refer to the June 24th, 2022 real estate impact study already in the record that was prepared by Breslin Appraisal Company, Inc. I can send it to, I can send it as an attachment to an email to anybody, but it is already in the record. At this point, I would ask Tina Lund to come to the podium to make a presentation regarding the economic analysis.
If anybody's come in late and you wish to speak, you can come up front and fill out a card and turn it in. And don't hesitate to come up while presentation is being made.
Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel. Thank you for having me, Mr. Supervisor and Board. My name is Tina Lund, 115 East 27th Street, apartment 2D, New York, New York. I am the principal and owner of Urbanomics, and I was retained to prepare an economic and fiscal impacts assessment of Amendola's Fence Company. Next slide, please. I'll be my own stenographer. I'm just going to give a brief presentation about the report that we prepared. But first, I'm going to start out with a little bit about our firm to give our credentials and my own credentials. Urbanomics is a small business. We've been in operation since 1984. And we deal with all of the economic impacts of planning. So we do forecasting and modeling, economic development, market and financial feasibility, fiscal analysis, and impacts assessments. One of the things that's unique about our firm is we do not just work for private clients, nor do we just work for municipal clients. We work for both. And as such, that requires us to be as impartial as we possibly can. So some examples of economic and fiscal impacts studies that we've done for private clients. We did the economic impacts of the siting of the Commodities Trade Center in Lower Manhattan for the New York Mercantile and Commodities Exchange. We worked for FWRA Development Group on a revitalization area in Flushing. We worked for the Layla Goren Group for the Yonkers Power Plant redevelopment. And we worked on the waterfront at Port Chester residential development for GNS developers. Now, for municipal and not-for-profit clients, generally the other side of the fence, we've worked for the Friends of the Upper East Side, counter to the New York Blood Center Tower. And we've worked for the Village of Port Chester and the Port Chester IDA on their school overcrowding and developers mitigation analysis. That's particularly important for us to show how our impartiality, because we've worked for developers in the Village of Port Chester, and then several years later we were retained by the village to work for them on the other side. Out here on Long Island, we worked for the town of Brookhaven on the economic impacts of the erosion control district's consolidation, potential consolidation. And we've also worked on Long Island preparing economic and fiscal impacts analyses to inform comprehensive planning efforts, everywhere from Nassau County to most recently the town of Riverhead. And I myself have worked for Urbanomics since 1997. I started as a research assistant, and about 6 years ago, I took over ownership. So I've been doing this for 27 years. So just a few words on economic impacts modeling. What we use is the IMPLAN model. It's very widely used, and it's built from a number of data sources, several dozen, including employment, labor force, commodity flows, and consumer expenditure data from federal and state sources. The inputs to the model are the direct event impacts. That's the annual revenues of a company, its employment, its wages, and in this instance, in terms of improvements, the construction costs. You put these inputs into the model that's calibrated for the county in question or counties in question, and it provides outputs in terms of the ripple effects of economic activity throughout the modeled area. And that's employment, wages, and output, and it looks at both business-to-business expenditures as well as what's called induced outputs, which is the spending of new or worker households. So that's what we did for Amendola. And I'm apparently, there we go. So the first thing we looked at is under the proposed rezoning, there was a planned $1.5 million in investment in paving and landscaping to mitigate the property, and I believe about a third of that has been done already. Is that correct? So modeling that $1.5 million of investment creates 8 one-time jobs in person years of employment with wages of about $700,000 for those direct workers. But it also supports another 2 jobs in business-to-business expenditures, purchases made by the company from other businesses, generally from wholesalers, insurance, real estate, and also it supports another 3 jobs in terms of induced expenditures. So generally medical professionals, retailers, people who provide goods and services to workers on the job. So for this construction, for every dollar that's spent, an additional 65 cents ripples through the economy. But there's not just the improvements that would come with the rezoning. There we go. There's also the economic impacts of the business as it exists today. It's 60 years in existence, 35 years on the site. This report was prepared in May of last year using 2022 numbers. Employment at that time was 197 persons. There were $11 million in wages, and the average wage was $55,646. What's notable here in the chart on the bottom, you'll see that average wages at the firm have actually increased over the past 10 years. That's something that's not particularly common at the moment. Most businesses in the region have been holding pretty steady in terms of wages for the last decade. So these were the inputs to the modeling of the existing business. The other thing we look at when we look at the impacts is how much does it actually affect the local area. So we mapped out the wages by employee zip code for current workers at Amendola's Fence. And as you can see, they're very much local residents. And we also looked at where their vendors are. Most businesses have a select group of vendors that they purchase from often. And as you can see, the small blue dot is where Amendola's is located. And you can see that most of their purchases are made on Long Island in Suffolk and Nassau counties. And that just helps us calibrate the model to make sure that the impacts that are modeled are actually true to what's happening in the local area. Sure, before it wouldn't do anything, and now it's going ahead 6. So in terms of the economic impacts of the existing business, direct revenues that were modeled were $14.7 million and 197 jobs. When you plug that into the model, there are 74 people whose jobs are supported by that economic activity, 28 in other businesses, 45 people working to serve the needs of workers. In the end, it comes out Those people make a total of $17.8 million in wages, and the overall economic activity is $28.5 million. So for every dollar spent, there's an additional 93 cents rippling through the economy in the county. Now, we didn't just look at economic impacts, we looked at fiscal impacts, so the taxes that the business pays. Based on what would happen with the proposed rezoning, the valuation of the property is not expected to change significantly. In 2023, the property taxes were about $93,000, with the majority of that going to the school district, $12,000 to the county, just under $13,000 to the town, and another $11,000 to other state and special district agencies. But the business also pays $1.8 million in sales and use taxes every year. $800,000 of that goes to Suffolk County, just under $300,000 to Nassau County, and $600,000 to the state and other entities, including the MTA commuter tax, et cetera. Then there's also payroll taxes that are paid on top of the property and sales and use taxes, and based on records, in 2022, the company paid $1.15 million in payroll taxes, and that's more than doubled from just 10 years prior. So in sum, the company pays $3 million in total taxes, the majority of which are in sales and use and payroll taxes. And so my conclusions were quite simply that the company is economic and fiscally valuable to the county. They contribute $3 million in taxes every year. There's $28.5 million in economic activity, both directly, indirectly, and induced, and the one-time construction activity associated with the proposed action would inject $2.8 million into the local economy. And with that, that concludes my notes. And if anyone has any questions.
Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, but can the volume be increased?
For the speakers?
Yes.
Okay. I'll just ask them, you're going to have to pull the microphone closer.
Okay. Is that better?
Very much better, thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Supervisor, I have nothing further to add at this point. If the
Okay.
board has any questions for me, or there are design professionals here also, I'm not sure if there is anything you might want to ask. I'm happy to.
No, we've been all given the file, so, but we can go to the speakers now.
Very well, thank you.
Okay. And I know some people came in later, so if you're interested in addressing the board during this public hearing, you have to come up front and fill out a card and give it into the clerk at this time. So is there anybody who wishes to speak who came in who did not fill out a card? Mr. Arthur, I have your card. I have your card, but I didn't call you yet. Yeah, I'll call you, you're like third or fourth. But if anybody else who came in who wishes to speak before the board, we ask you to just come up and fill out a card and turn it into our clerk. Okay, we'll go into the first speaker, Rosalind Johnson.
Hi, my name is Rosalind Johnson. I live at 311 Albany Avenue.
You can pull that down, Rob.
Yeah,
Yep.
I live at 311 Albany Avenue. On the opposite side of the, my property backs to the opposite side of the wetlands, which is I believe that's where you plan on putting a parking lot or parking or whatever, on the opposite side of the wetlands, that corner.
Why don't you just,
All right.
Yeah, and I'll-
My concern is that basically there was a fire there on Bayview Avenue, I guess the week before last or whatever, and I took some pictures.
yeah, you can hand it up to Jen there. That's okay, we can make copies.
If they're going to develop in that area, now the house that was on fire there is on Bayview Avenue, right on the border, I guess, of their property, okay? And I think the second picture where the flame is a little bit higher, you know, that kept me up until things went down a bit, because between, the only thing between my house and that fire was Armadillo and the wetlands and the wooded area. Now, they were able to put that fire out relatively, I won't say in short order, but a reasonable amount of time. But they were able to access that house because of where it's located. If for any reason at all, and this is what kept me up, they develop, and God only knows when there's going to be a fire, there is no way to access it to put a fire out short of, going by foot into that wetlands area and into the back of the properties along Albany Avenue. So for that purpose alone, I am hesitant about having anything come anywhere near where the wetlands are. Because if there's a fire, I don't know how you're going to get it out. And you can see from the pictures, that was from my bedroom window. So I'm looking at that and saying, I can't go to sleep because I don't know whether that's going to, somebody's going to knock at my door and I'm going to have to run out my house because there's, literally nothing. I recognize that the fence company's been there for a long time. I've lived in Amityville for 74 years, so I've been at more than one Armadillo meeting. And I think it's a great business, and I sincerely hope they continue to grow. But I think it should be, in this day and age, they should be able to get their designers to come up with an idea that provides for storage that doesn't come anywhere near that back area where it's wooded. And, that is my major concern about that. Because there's no way, no one knows when a fire is going to happen or what's going to cause it. But once it's done, it's too late. So it's easier to stop it before it becomes a potential problem, and there are a lot of homes and children up and down that neighborhood, just in that back up against that wetland area. Okay?
Great. Thank you.
Mr. Supervisor, can I just ask, can the engineering firm just put up a site plan on an easel? They don't have to do a presentation, just so I can see a visual of the site
Do you
plan.
have that? Yeah,
The next speaker can come up.
Okay, next speaker is going to be Beverly Brewster.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone.
evening.
We have all the big wigs out today.
Yeah,
It's good to see everybody.
only in our own minds, Beverly.
Thank you for your presentation, but we want to see the parcels. We're here to see the parcels. So I'm glad they're getting them out. That's what we need to see.
Sure.
All right? And I have to say, when I saw the sign posted, there was nothing on one of the signs. I was trying to find the time of when this meeting was going to be. With my resourceful contacts, I was able to find out what time it was tonight. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here.
So just,
We shouldn't have to do that as,
no, let me just make clear. You're saying that the sign did not have the
the
time?
sign did not have it until very recently. Believe me, I rode past there. Next time I'll take pictures, but I rode past there. There was nothing on the sign posted
Okay.
until very recently.
Okay, let me just, one speaker at a time.
We just don't need tricks in our area. We want to know what's going on in our community.
Absolutely.
If we were a different color, it might be a different story, but we need to take care.
Beverly.
We need to take care of our properties.
Beverly.
Yes.
You and I speak regularly, correct?
Yes.
You have my cell phone number.
Yes. And I thank you
Contact
for
me.
that.
Please don't.
Okay.
Don't say that to me.
Well, it hurts us.
But
as
it
well.
hurts me.
Okay, I'm
So
sorry.
you and I have always had an understanding,
Yes.
okay?
Yes.
Thank you.
And the gentleman that spoke first, he says they make a collaborative effort and they take in consideration everyone. But the neighbors need to know what's going on. If
Absolutely.
they're going to do something publicly, yes, the neighbors need to know what's going on. And their storage has increased. He talked about concrete barriers. There's a stream abutting Amendola fence. That stream runs from Huntington all the way to the South Bay, and it's still active. How are they going to take care of that? Is there going to be any kind of regulatory environmental checks to make sure that the stream is still healthy? And is the town going to keep us informed? Because we live here, and we need to know if the stream gets contaminated. We need to know whether it's in our backyard or somewhere else down the line. But that stream is very active. And basically, we just want to be heard, and we want our neighborhood to be a safe place to live, and we want it to be attractive for others coming in and living in the community.
Thank you. Margie Bloom?
Good evening. My name is Margie Bloom. I live at 11 Bedford Street in Copiague, New York. And here we go again. Like the impact statement said, he's been working there. The business has been there for 60 years. I know the bowling alley was there first. Then Mr. Amendola bought the property, and we've been here fighting ever since, and he's been using the property illegally. But I know he has a right to try to get it changed over to his zone. It's his property. You're telling him how to do it. He's making the plans. He lied to me and told me that they were going to move the storage to Bay Shore, because Janet and I had a meeting with him and his attorney and Mr. Amendola's daughter and son-in-law, not his daughter, because he had passed. But it seems that it's changed. He's still trying to put the storage there. And like Ms. Beverly said, there's the runoff from all that storage that can go down into that stream that we have, that natural stream that we have. We've had people who had to sell their homes because they could not use their swimming pool because he's making money. It's not hard for anybody in that area to get a job. There's a train, there's buses. We're near all the major highways. You can ride a bike. So, okay, you're making a couple of dollars. He's been making money off of us. And we've been trying to just keep our neighborhood a neighborhood and not an industrial area, bringing down our property values. You know, we have our gardens and stuff, so we can grow our food and stuff when necessary. And we've been fighting this fight for, you know how many years, and we're still fighting. And so far we've been winning, but he's still been making changes to his property, which he has a right to do, you know. But if it's going to impact our living and our children and our senior citizens, he needs to stop. And he needs to keep his word and move that stuff to Bay Shore like he said he was, you know? So that's Well, I got to say, because I don't want no industrialization in that area. Okay? That's.
Thank you, Margie.
Everybody knows. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Kenneth Arthur? Right up there, Mr. Arthur. And just state your name and address.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kenneth Arthur. I'm living at 19 North Bayview Avenue. I have been there for quite some time. And just about every year, we have to come here to object to changes in the residential area in which we live. There's no one in Amityville who wants that change at all. I do not want it. None of the neighbors around do not want it. No change whatsoever. The residential area should stay there forever without any changes at any time. And this should be the end of asking for the change. We want to live, excuse me, we want to live in some place clean and decent. And we don't want any industry. There's enough industry around and we don't want any more. We do not want it there. It should not be there. In short, we don't want it. The answer is no to every request. No request is yes for us that they want from us. The answer is no for myself and everyone around.
Thank you, Mr. Arthur.
Thank you.
Derek Bullard?
Can we both come up?
It's my wife.
Oh, sure,
She has
yes.
a second.
And Janet Bullard.
Janet Bullard.
Yes.
And good evening, guys.
Good evening. Just state your address.
6 Simmons Street in Copac.
6 Simmons?
Copeg.
yeah.
I'm Derek. Of course, this is Janet. You're going to hear quite a bit from the body that they have the same concerns as far as property value, safety. So I'm not going to speak on that. I'm going to do two things. And one is, I'm sure it's not necessary, but because it was late notice, I want to thank all of the community for finding a way to get here and to make this meeting happen. This is not the full body that would normally show. So I'd appreciate that you guys recognize that. The thing that I would address is there a limitation on how often or when applications can be accepted or denied? The community has been going through this for years. It's obvious that they don't want it in the community. And is there a point where it gets resolved permanently?
So I believe it'll be resolved permanently after this.
After this meeting.
Not tonight, but after this meeting when this board makes its decision.
Okay, so I'm going to say to everyone that hasn't filled out a sheet, if you have anything to say, tonight is the night to say it. If you're uncomfortable, they've seemed to make us feel comfortable. Just say what you need to. Let them know, because we're hearing that this may be the last meeting.
Well, we can also, if you're not comfortable with speaking, we can just take names and addresses and you can indicate your opposition. Would that be good?
Is that
Do
good?
you have an idea when you might notify the body on when a decision is made?
When we make that decision, we'll notify.
Because the last time we were here was what, 6 months ago? Was it in October?
Right, well, that was the planning board, so.
was the planning board.
So let me just explain to you why we're here. So the planning board heard the application. That's the first stop for an application like this. Can everyone hear me? Yes. Oh, okay. The planning board is the first stop. So the meeting that you were at back in, I guess it was November?
November, October, yeah, November.
November, that was the planning board. So that's a board appointed by this board in order to review the site plan. So that's what you see on the easel up there. And that's their proposal for what they want to do. So the planning board, you all attended that meeting and you told them that you were opposed to this. You didn't really want to look at the site plan because you don't want to see what they are proposing done, correct?
Right.
Correct? Right. So now the next stop for them, because the planning board can't take action until the town board hears their request to rezone the properties that were listed. So if you look at the map, there are certain properties that they've encroached on that are residential zone properties that they should not be operating on, and they've been operating on it. And now they're asking us to legalize that
Okay.
by asking us to rezone. So this is the only board that can take an action to rezone the property. So you have to come here, they have to come here, we have to hear it, and then we have to vote yes or no to rezone. If we vote yes, I don't know if there are any variances requested. There are variances, so then they would go to the zoning board. If we vote no, then their proposal dies.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? So when we take an action on this application, it has never gotten to the town board, correct, Vic? Right, so this is the first time it's coming before the town board, and that's significant because that means that this board, the 5 of us, will make a decision based on all of the input that we're receiving, the presentation, as well as everyone who's speaking. And we've also received messages, email messages from people who couldn't attend tonight.
Okay.
So they've submitted their comments.
We are asking you to look into
Thank you.
it
So
carefully.
the 2 of you, I assume, I don't want to assume, but I assume that both of you are against this request.
Yes.
So you just say that on the record.
I we're both against this request. Thank you.
And you would too?
Yes.
Well, you're in charge of him, right?
Yes, I am.
You can tell. Go ahead, Jim.
That's it.
That's it?
Good?
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to clarify that.
Of course.
So at the end, what we can do is if you don't wish to speak, because I have about 12 cards here, we're going through them right now, but if you don't wish to speak, we'll have you come up and we'll just take your name and address, and you could be added to the record in opposition. I'm assuming there's nobody here in favor except the applicant. That person should be afraid to raise their hand, right? So we'll have you come up at the end after this. So we'll take the next speaker will be Cheryl Goldberg.
Hi, I'm
Hi.
Cheryl Goldberg,
And what's-
15 Harrison Avenue.
15?
I have a terrible fear of public speaking.
And well, good, congratulations on coming up.
I recently moved into the area. I've been here about a year.
Cheryl, you have to just speak into the
I
microphone.
came here to support my community and my neighbors. I don't think that rezoning to industrial from commercial and residential is the direction that our town wants to be headed.
Very good. Thank you for coming tonight. And thank you for being brave coming up. So this is, next one, I think it says James Taylor. Is that correct? Mr. Taylor?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You're not the singer, right?
No, I wish I was. Hi, everybody. Okay, my name is James Taylor. I live at 5 Rona Drive, Amityville, New York. My parents moved out here in 1949, okay? Amendola wasn't even there yet. But I just wanted to say, at the last meeting, okay, he was supposed to do some stuff. And I'm speaking to his lawyer there. Because when the planning board, you're always supposed to do something, and your panel said you didn't do it. So how can we trust this man, okay? And that was at the last meeting, and you know what I'm talking about. The planning board said you were supposed to do something, Amendola was supposed to do something, and y'all didn't do that.
And Mr. Taylor, what I'll do is Matt Esposito, who's our senior planner, Matt, just raise your hand.
Right.
Matt will get us exactly what was
Yeah, because
spoken to
your
at the meeting.
the planning board said you were supposed to do that, and you didn't do it. Okay, so how can we trust Mr. Amendola, okay? To me, he's up for tricks, okay? We have a lot of kids. At my house, there's a bus stop there. There's about 15 kids at that bus stop every morning, okay?
And And where is the bus stop?
At 5 Ronick Drive, Ronick Drive there.
In front of your...
In front of my house. Okay, we have 15 kids going in there. Now, I don't know if he's going to have trucks coming through there. The last meeting also I want to address, they said that the stuff was going to go on for 10 o'clock at night. And yes.
Well, we'll have him come up and address
Okay.
that, but
10
just-
o'clock at night, and everybody said, whoa, okay? And
Mr.
that
Taylor,
needs to be addressed.
So can I just make sure I understand? Are you saying that they said that they would be having activity?
Yes, at 10 o'clock at night.
Okay.
And the people that were at the last meeting heard that, okay?
And we'll ask him at the end of all the speakers. He's keeping notes, and he'll be able to come up and address each of the questions.
So that has to be addressed. Also, too, in that area over there, okay, this been going on for, Cookie, how long has this been going on? About 4 or 5 years? Okay, maybe longer than that, okay? We don't want him, okay? I don't know why he's not comfortable with his establishment the way it is. When you start expanding and doing all this other stuff, okay, that's a problem, okay? Because the property value is going to go down, okay? When you bought a house for $400,000 or $500,000, and then he has his stuff coming in there, your house ain't going to be worth $200,000 or $300,000, if that. Nobody wants to lose. We're not in here to lose, okay? So we don't need Amendola. Amendola should be comfortable of what he's doing, what he has right now, and we got to move on. Because in that area there, there's a lot of kids that go to school there, and it's growing, okay? We got a lot of stuff going on. We got the apartment complex going on over there on Albany Avenue. There's a lot of stuff going on around there. Nobody wants to lose in property tax, okay? Especially people are struggling, okay? I don't care how you look at it. People are struggling today. People can't barely pay their mortgage, okay? So by him doing this, he's just going to take that area, okay, and do what he wants to do, okay? Because he doesn't live over there, so he doesn't care. I mean, let's keep it real. He doesn't care, okay? So by him doing that, he's going to devalue the property over there, okay? And who's going to suffer? We are. We're going to be the ones that's suffering. We don't need it, okay? Because once he gets disapproved, what else is he going to do? Because it only takes one time for him to do something, and then he's going to continue on. Because now he feels like, okay, I can do what I want to do now. We don't need that. Okay, people are struggling in North Amityville, and you know they are, Mr. Schaefer. You know that very well. Okay, we can't even keep a story over there. So we don't need his business over there like that. He should just keep it simple the way he has it, and we move on. Okay, because he's not bringing nothing into North Amityville. Okay, we can, like I said, we can barely keep stores over there. So he's not doing nothing to North Amityville. He's devaluing it. He's not increasing it. He's not making us better than what we are, okay? Because he wouldn't do that in his area, and I know he wouldn't. And that's all I have to say.
Great, thank you, Mr. Taylor.
All righty.
David Peters?
Good evening.
Hi, Mr. Peters.
Mine is going to be very short. I just have a question.
Just state your address.
Oh, David Peters, 14 Campbell Street, North Amityville. I'm going to assume that not anybody who works for this area lives in this area. So my question is this: if this were to be pushed on to you in your area, how would you feel about it? Would you be ready to accept it and embrace it?
And we'll have him answer that during his
Okay.
presentation.
And Mr. Taylor said something about 10 o'clock. I remember them saying that the work would go on until 11 o'clock. Now, I could be wrong, but it was a pretty ridiculous amount of time that they were working up to. And again, how would you feel if this was being put into your area, into your neighborhood? what's going to happen to the property value of the private homes around this area? We moved out here in '76 because it was a nice, quiet neighborhood. I know there were some things going on, but that's everywhere. But overall, it was country living. My next door neighbor, the buses are stopping there to pick up the children on a regular basis. That's the kind of neighborhood, that's the kind of community that we moved to, and that's the kind of community that we would like to continue to live in. We don't need any trucks coming through, which is happening more and more over in my area with all kinds of stuff going on, and we don't need any lavish, whatever this is, going on. We are a community, neighborhood, family community. And again, would you want it in your neighborhood? That's my question.
Thank you, Mr. Peters. S.R. Magri? S.R. Magri? Oh, I'm sorry. Take your time, Mr. Magri.
Name is Raj Maharaj, 21 Bayview Avenue, Omniville. The answer is no. No extension at all. Absolutely none. Thank you.
Thank you. Martin Siri?
Good evening. Martin Siri, 760 Bayview Avenue in Amityville. My mother, about 20 years ago, she purchased a property, and then everything was doing more or less, but I had two houses next to me, and all of a sudden, Amendolas just tore those two houses down, and then started using it as a commercial property. So, after that, things started getting uglier for me because I'm the neighbor, closest neighbor right there. So everything they're saying here is the truth, but nothing but the truth. So it's a very uncomfortable and, situation. Not agree with the rezoning. Not agree with rezoning.
Okay, thank you. Jessica Green Gooden?
Hi, good afternoon, evening rather. My name is Jessica Green Gooden. I live at 791 Bayview Avenue. I'm new to the Amityville area. I have some concerns that we've expressed that's in alignment with the rest of my neighbors. I've expressed it before when I was here, and I'll express it again, right? And I'm not sure if they have addressed it yet, but we spoke about looking at the environmental impact review and whether or not that was conducted and whether or not they assessed the impact not only of the property value, but more importantly, our health, right? What is the impact on their changes that they're currently having on the health of the individuals as well as the safety of our children in the neighborhood, right? These are people who have demonstrated, right, throughout this time that they are not willing to obey the regulations and the law set. They've shown that by displaying it's just plain and in your face. They've disregarded what the zoning regulations were, and they continue to build and violate those regulations despite the fact that those regulations were in place. Now, there's nothing that gives me confidence in whatever they're saying or their commitment. This is all about money, and at bottom line, I think that most of what we're saying now is not going to really have an impact. So I say to my neighbors, the way that we fight this is possibly legally and taking legal actions to enjoin them, to prevent them from zoning before the board takes action, right? And if we could get together and enjoin them and file a legal suit before the zoning board approves, maybe that is our avenue that we need to take. Because I really don't feel that anything that we say is going to have an impact, unfortunately, right? And so because of that, I am asking my neighbors to come together and file a legal suit to enjoin them, to prevent them from changing the zoning laws as it is, because I think that is our avenue through. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who wishes to address the board?
Can I just make an addition?
I'm sorry?
Can I make an additional comment?
Oh, sure, Beverly. This is Beverly Brewster.
Beverly Brewster, 110 Harrison Avenue. I'm sorry, I forgot to say that.
That's okay.
But anyway, as I said, these parcels that we're talking about, they're on a blueprint which is so hard to read. You have the screen up there. They can show us, physically show us on the screen and let us know what they're talking about.
Sure. Do you have,
Because not everyone in here, they know what they're doing. But don't be afraid to show it on the screen, all these parcels that we're talking about.
sure.
Thank you.
Do you have the capability to do that here? Yeah, why don't you? Yeah.
The site plan was sent on PDF
Matt,
at some
can you
point.
access that?
Mr. Supervisor, the same site plan was on the screen the entire time at the last planning board meeting.
Yeah, but we'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
Okay.
Why don't you, while they're figuring it out, let me just ask, is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Sir? I'm going to have the gentleman in the back who just raised his hand, if he wouldn't mind coming up, and he'll state his name and address. And then when you're done speaking, just fill out the card.
Absolutely.
Okay.
My name is Leighton Clark. I've been a resident of Amityville community since 1973. Went to the Amityville School District.
What's your address?
800 Bayview Avenue. I'm a retired investigator and started a second career with New York City Department of Corrections. I like to know what is in it for the community if this zoning is to pass. I'm all about politics. I understand what's going on. I like to know what's in the best interest for us if this was to pass.
Great.
And that's my answer.
Okay, thank you. And Margie, you wanted to make?
Everybody in here says no.
I'm sorry. Wait, no, you need to come up to the microphone. And can you all see that?
Okay. That's it. My name is Margie Bloom. Thank you for allowing me to have a little bit more to say.
Sure.
Everybody in here, we don't want to, we're giving you the reasons why we don't want it, the property values, the health of our children, our food supply that we grow for ourselves and whatnot. We've been doing this now since, 1992. I have records where he's been fined. He pays the fine. He's still making millions of dollars according to this here impact statement that they got going on. It's no. But he keep going on. Well, that's his property. He can make it look like how he want it to look like, okay? But the lights are blasting. The noise is there. It is an emphatically no. It's pollution and danger to our residential area. We have zoning for industry in the town of Babylon and in Suffolk County, places where you go for your business and your industrial work. Our area is a residential area. So we say emphatically, no. Thank you.
Thank you. So is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Is there anyone here who doesn't want to speak but wishes to have their name and address included in the record in opposition? Okay, if you wouldn't mind coming up over here, and you just have to fill out the card. So we'll have you come up, fill out the card with your name and address, and that'll be included in the record. But we're not going to have you speak. And then Vic, once everybody is done, then we'll have you come up and address the comments. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. need your name and telephone.
Is this your pen? Is this your pen? Thank you.
And Jeff, thank you very much. Oh, was that? You saw him which way? Oh, no, if you want to speak, sure. So you just have to fill out your card and give it in, and I'll call you up. Very good.
Okay, yourself?
Yeah, it's like shopping center there. So there's one woman that wanted to speak. Oh, there we go. Kimberly Brown. What speaker number is she? Jen can put it.
Hello, my name is Kimberly Brown. My residence is 792 Bayview Avenue, Amityville, New York. Where I reside on the planet is like right between where those bushes are, is my home. And
So your home is on the corner, or
no, it's
you're in the little
lot. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, the north side of Bayview.
you're the lucky winner, huh?
Yeah, so there have been many times before, well, the noise I could say has settled down. That I could say after I've had to go outside and scream at like 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, and I have to be to work by 6:30. So it was a problem for me. My son was always waking up in the middle of the night. I even called Amendola to ask him, was somebody working in the yard, because people were there like in the middle of the night banging and I don't know, sound like dropping things. I did play a video at a prior meeting, and then there were other times where I couldn't even open up my room window because of the dust that would end up on my furniture. And it's an environmental issue. That's the big problem, and also a fire concern, because they did end up having to push the property back because they weren't, I guess, zoned correctly, but they still store things. They have the bushes so high so you can't see what's behind the bushes, but there are things still stored behind the bushes, and it's just a fire hazard. So that's my concern, the health and the fire hazard. And as far as them working until 10 p.m. That's just not good for anybody, not for the children.
Does that happen now?
Not that I'm aware of any longer. No, but it should.
What time does, since you're the closest, what time does the operation, in your mind?
And my mom, like 8 something, 9.
Okay.
Yeah. But before, they used to drop loud bands. I would call the lawyer, because we were in contact at one time, and then, he apologized. That was kind of settled, because I was like, what is going on? I would play the video for him, the sound. And, but yeah, it's not good to industrialize, because like the gentleman said before, there's a lot of children that walk up and down the street. My son, he couldn't even play in the backyard because it was just so bad. The grill was gray from all of the dust and everything. The billows of smoke, they dropped the parcels down. The billows of smoke, it was terrible. And there's a lot of children that are at the bus stop right in front of my house. They get on the bus. And if trucks come through, what's gonna happen is the tree branches are low, so they already don't allow big trucks, because what happened before, I have video, and a truck came through. It wasn't Amendola's truck, but it was a big truck, and it knocked down the tree, and my Ring camera caught it on camera, and it knocked over my neighbor's fence. So if a small child or anybody, an adult, anybody's walking, that could be a big hazard. So my answer is no. All right, thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. And we got everybody who wanted to just be listed in opposition, so we're not missing anyone? Okay, Mr. Emanuel, if you wanted to come up and address the comments.
With respect to Rosalind Johnson's comment, she mentioned she wanted to know which of the sites was to be developed for parking. It's lot 34.1. It's west of the primary site. You can see it on the map behind you. It's already striped for use for parking. So it's right on Sunrise Highway. Is there somebody with a pointer that can?
Matt, you want to help?
I see what a T is. So I see some lines on the west side.
There-
That looks like it's near the creek.
Right, you see where the pointer is? That's,
So what is this part going to be?
I have to speak so that everybody can hear me.
Yeah, 'cause we have to get
So
this on the
the
record.
question that was just raised is what would be happening in the northwest border. The wetlands are on the other side of that, and we had to get DEC approval, and that's why you see that buffer between the site itself and the actual wetlands. So there's no activity. All of the areas shaded in green indicate exactly what you would expect. That means no activity of any kind, just vegetation, and there are shrubs, as you can see, along the entire north perimeter, and a good portion of the westerly perimeter, and the easterly side as well. Does that answer your question, Ms. Johnson?
Well, the thing of it is, you're still requesting.
Wait, Ms. Johnson, I need you to step up, just so that we can get it.
But you're still going to request from, what was it, the environmental control for a permit? Or you're not going to request for that area? The area where you said on the west, in the northwest, okay? That you said is, you have to contact the EPA?
The DEC.
DEC for a permit. What I think is they shouldn't do anything with that because it's too close to the wetlands, so there's no need to request anything from the DE, whatever.
Right, well, that's, so you're in opposition.
I'm in opposition to
Because
anything
those parcels are part of the proposal to rezone, so.
I'm against that.
You're against
because
that,
it's
right.
Yeah, because
Yep.
that's too close to the wetlands.
Right.
And there's no access for any kind of fire trucks or anything.
Right, which is what you said
Yeah,
earlier.
there's no access.
Okay. So that, but you answered her question.
I did, thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Beverly Brewster had a concern about an active stream. We've made every inquiry that was required to get us to this point regarding stormwater. It's all self-contained. There isn't going to be any runoff into a stream that's on the west side of the property. Margie Bloom, Margie and I have talked many times in the past.
No, Margie, he's just showing, he's answering about the runoff. So this diagram shows the drainage. So that's what, Matt, you were just pointing to. Yeah, just keep it on that. But Matt was just showing the actual engineer design.
Thank you. With regard to the activity that takes place on the site, I had mentioned earlier in previous hearings that my client acquired a parcel in Islip Town. That's where most of the shipping is done from. What happens on this site now...
And what's the address of that parcel?
Just bear with me a minute. It's on Crooked Hill Road in
Okay, if you
Brentwood.
if you could just get us the
I certainly
actual
can.
address.
So that everybody here can be more comfortable, there have been severe limitations, self-imposed limitations on the activity at the site. I mentioned in my previous comments the buffer zones. Looking at them, and I thank you, Matt, for putting that up on the screen, because that shows how far away most of this operation now is from the residential properties. It's much further away than the other commercial uses that surround these residences.
Not in the back. There's no storage.
That's
There's no storage at the health center there. That's all like parking, and it's been there where they haven't gone up to anything close to the wetlands with the perspectives of changing that to use it for storage. Unfortunately, there's no chance of a fire being there. With Amadillo, I'm sorry, with the storage, with your track record as to keeping things correct, it's no way.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Yep. Wait. We're going to have to let him finish, okay?
The only response I have, Mr. Supervisor, is that the DEC looked very closely at how this...
Your response is that you've submitted everything you was required to submit, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Thank you. Looking down the list, Mr. Taylor made reference to some promises that may have been made. I'm not familiar with it. It lacked specificity. I'd be happy to talk to him directly after the hearing.
Directly, but what we're going to do is Matt Esposito is our senior planner. He's the gentleman up here. He attended the planning board session, so he's going to get us the transcript from the planning board session.
The one recollection I do have, Mr. Supervisor, is there were questions raised by one of the board members. Those questions were answered in a couple of days after the hearing. We closed the hearing that night.
Okay.
We sent emails. I'm sure that I could provide this board with copies. Yes.
Yes.
With regard to hours of operation, I understand why that's a concern for the neighbors, and that has been the original request that was included in some of the previous correspondence was for a 10 p.m. Cessation of operations. That is now down to 6 p.m. What happens in the outside of the property outside the building stops at 6 p.m. There is a showroom. There is some assembly that's done in some of the other buildings that you can see on the map behind you, but other than that, then of course there is some other activity with customers coming in and out from Sunrise Highway. Some of the residents have mentioned truck traffic. There is no truck traffic from this site that leaves anywhere comes in from Sunrise Highway and leaves from Sunrise Highway. There's no access point anywhere else. So the trucks that some of the residents have made reference to would be visiting other sites.
Wait. Just wait. Let him finish, okay?
Ms. Green Gooden mentioned environmental. I've addressed that already. To my knowledge, there are no outstanding environmental requirements associated with this proposed change. Kimberly Brown mentioned that there had been some noise, and yes, I do recall speaking with her directly sometimes, and looking at the plan again, you can see that her needs were directly addressed by the revisions that have been made to the plan, because there's a lot of green surrounding her lot, as you can see from looking at the rendering that's on the screen.
Okay, let me have Mr. Taylor just come up for his one point.
In reference to the trucks good there, what I'm saying, say, of course, he gets a disapproval, okay? Will trucks be coming in there then? Because now, you got to understand something. Once he gets, say if he gets disapproval, he can basically do anything he wants to do. Without the community, I've been around, without the community even knowing about it, okay? I'm not saying the trucks are not coming in now, but if he gets disapproval, you know he's going to start expanding.
I'm going to address that. I want to make clear that the site plan isn't likely to change. It certainly couldn't change without the approval of the agencies that here in this building. There's no intention to get an approval and then radically change the operation. We've changed it significantly in order to fit in better in the community. We moved all of the loading, the late night loading, to an industrial area.
But I think, Vic, the point that, and I guess I don't want to put words in Mr. Taylor's mouth, is since this has been going on for 35 years, and I'm speaking of Mr. Amendola, who we know is deceased, but he decided to encroach and move in on properties that were zoned residence, right?
Yes.
And if this approval were to be granted, which is a big if, what is going to stop him, not him, but the operation, what is it called, RJ Amendola LLC? What's going to stop them, since their track record has been to just do whatever they want, what's going to stop them from doing whatever they want in the future?
The very strong and thorough enforcement division of your code enforcement people.
Well, no.
I make many appearances.
No. I'm not talking about what do we have to do. What are they going to do? So what's in discussion here that has to be incorporated into the deliberation on the application is the track record, correct?
I would respectfully disagree.
No, I'm asking you to respond to that.
I respectfully disagree.
And why would you disagree with that?
Because there's a site plan that limits the access to and from the site from Sunrise Highway.
No, I understand the point. You've said that there will not be any trucks coming or going off of Bayview because there's no access. So your trucks are going to come in off of Sunrise and go back out onto Sunrise. Any trucks that come in and out that take fence material and
yes,
the workers, that's all done internally in the site, right?
Yes.
I understand that, but I think Mr. Taylor's question was, if this is approved, what's going to stop RJ Amendola LLC from doing whatever they want again? Like, for example, if the green area over here, what's going to stop them from moving in and doing what they've done in the past? So they knocked down a bunch of houses, right? 2 houses on Bayview, and just started encroaching, right? Is that correct?
That's what I've been told.
Yeah, that's correct. I'm just saying. So what, I think I'm asking you to answer his Mr. Taylor, do I understand your question correctly?
Loud and clear, Rich.
I'm sorry?
Loud and clear, Mr. Chairman.
Right, okay, so his question is, if this is approved, what's gonna stop him, once this is all approved, what's gonna stop them from just deciding to move into that?
Gates are already in the back, in that back.
Margie.
We can talk about the gate, if there is a gate that might be there because of a fire prevention requirement. But
Yeah,
but there's,
But I'm asking for
well,
that.
there's a buffer, Mr. Supervisor. There are also concrete barriers, those giant blocks are going to be around the perimeter of the outside storage area. It would take a great effort to move them. Can any of us predict future behavior? Of course we can't.
I'm just asking for your answer on the record.
Well, that's my answer is there's no way to predict future behavior except to say we all hope that we comply with the applicable regulations to our operation. This is a very well-run company. It has existed for 60 years and has grown precipitously over that period of time.
Okay, did you have any other responses?
I think no, not at the moment.
Did you want to say something? No. I'm sorry, you?
Well, I was just saying,
No, Margie, you can't. You got to come up. No, that's okay.
I didn't realize this was like the board in the zoning. I didn't realize.
Well, this is the town board, and there's a record.
Right.
So there's a record. Why is there a record? Because if we grant this, then the residents can bring what's called an Article 78
Right.
to oppose our action. If we deny it, the applicant can sue us to get, so there's got to be a record of every comment that's made.
Okay, well, I've been out here since 1967, okay? My father built a home here, we've been here. There was a bowling alley there. Now, he took the bowling alley parking lot, he already encroached in on the wetlands. So, all that part up there, you see the little, that little black line, that's that stream. If you go to the far west, right, you see it, it comes all the way down, you can see it crack right on down in there, yeah, it goes underneath Sunrise Highway. Okay.
Into Avon.
Right. The runoff would come from that. See, he already took the parking lot, because we all know, I'm sure you know with the bowling alley there back in those days. He took all of that, and the town took him to court, he paid a fine, so it was cheaper for him to pay a fine because he's making money. So we fighting all this time. It's just not fair.
Okay, that's.
That's it, I'm done. You see,
Thank
I'm
you, Margie.
upset.
Thank you.
I will not say another word.
All right, I don't want, if you don't have anything new to add, okay? Unless you have something new to add.
I have a question.
Yeah, I'm going to ask him. I know your question. Yep. I'm sorry. All right, do you have something new to add? Okay.
So I believe his attorney had stated that the operation ended at 6. However,
And you're Jessica, right?
Jessica Green, correct. Jessica Green Gooden. So I believe he stated that the operation ended at 6 p.m. However,
It was going to end at 6.
going to end at 6? Okay. But there are bright lights that are still shining throughout the night. My house is directly behind, probably 2 houses in on Bayview, on the right-hand side, and his light literally shines into my room, my bedroom, every single night. And it's there on until the morning when we leave at 4 a.m., right? Because sometimes I go into the office, I go in with my husband, we leave at around 4 a.m., and the light is still on. And it's on throughout the night. It's disruptive to my sleep. It's disruptive to my husband's sleep. Additionally, I believe at the last meeting, he had stated that were going to be concrete barriers installed, right? He's now saying that they were not installed.
Well, they're going to be installed if this is approved.
Okay. Okay.
So, though all of the things that were spoken about at the planning board hearing was their presentation as to what they would do if it's approved.
Okay. So I would also like to reiterate the fact that these individuals have shown a history of not obeying the law.
Yep,
And as you alluded to, that there's nothing there's no guardrails that are in place to stop them from doing so.
Thank you. Okay, did you have anything else, Vic? Because I just had one question for you if you don't have anything else.
No, I have nothing else to add.
So just, if I understand it correctly, this basically here is what you're asking to be rezoned, right?
Actually, no, what you highlighted, that green area to the east, that's the 3 lots that will remain be residence zone. Yes.
Okay, so everything in here.
Would change to G industry. Some of it is E-business and some of it is B residence.
So if we deny this, that would then require you to restore this area back to residence zone? That's all residence zone?
It is.
And the green area would stay. So if we deny it, what would you do? Just create a buffer?
I'd have to talk to the client about it. I'm not sure what would happen. Depends on.
Yeah, but if you could get us an answer to that. So if we deny this application, what would you do to that property? If we said no and it has to stay residentially zoned, what would you do? Would they sell it off and so that someone could build houses there? What would happen with that property?
Don't know if anybody could answer that question in the moment. It would
No,
depend-
not the moment. I'm just saying we'd like to know that answer.
Okay.
Yeah, well, and it's, what they want to do here is what's shown up there, and it'll be for storage, right?
Storage, yes. But I want to be clear that there was a time when the activity there took place in the evening. That's no longer the case. That site I mentioned on Crooked Hill Road is where all of that kind of loading and unloading with the forklifts and the beeping, that's all done there because we recognize the impact that the past practices had on the residents. And a great deal of time and energy has been spent by everyone, including these people that are here tonight behind me, attempting to understand what goes on there. And we've done ourselves a lot to try to accommodate the needs of the neighbors.
Okay. Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, what we're going to do, and because I know Mr. Siri, I think, mentioned that there may have been other people, so what I'm going to do is make a motion that we close the hearing, but I'm going to keep the record open for 30 days so that if anybody who couldn't attend tonight, and if you see them over the weekend or out and about, if they wish to submit a written comment, they can do that. So that would take us out to June 3rd? No, June 2nd, because it's 31 days in May, so it's June 2nd. So we'll keep the record open to June 2nd and give anyone who wasn't able to attend an opportunity to submit written comments, and then we'll make those comments available to the applicant's representative. You can respond to them, and then the town board can then take an action on this application anytime after June 2nd. I don't know what the next town board meeting is in June. You have a schedule, Donna? June 5th, and then what else is in June? And one in July? Okay, so June 5th or July 10th would be the earliest that the town board could take an action on this application. And once we do, we'll advise everybody who attended of what the decision is. Okay, so I'll take a motion to close this public hearing by Councilman Gregory, second by Councilman Martinez. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing is closed, and the record is left open until June 2nd, so people can submit comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.